Hey, how you doing? Welcome back. If you saw part one, this is my background part two. Um, I want to talk to you about the good L.A.P.D. Now, as most of us know, even if we don't acknowledge it or think about it, you have good people and bad people in all walks of life. And I'm kind of pleased to talk about this because it doesn't get mentioned a lot. I want to talk to you about what I am calling hashtag good LAPD. See, I'm from the streets and I was in the streets for real. But I had a father who knew the Lord, who was dedicated. His father was a minister, and I will be returning to one of the churches where he spoke at. And my brother and my sisters took me to the Mount Olive Baptist Church, where I learned a lot of financial and marital examples of how to live a good life. Okay. I mean, I learned a lot about the Bible and I learned scriptures. We had what was called a Tom Thumb wedding. It was actually brilliant. It was some very brilliant people, and I know there still is because I've returned, throughout my life from time to time. I haven't been there in a while. But anyway, that's the Mount Olive Baptist Church. I look forward to visiting. This was life in Los Angeles prior to the rap craze. I can remember being 6 years old, and my sisters took us to Big Giant Supermarket, which was our neighborhood market. We lived off 56 in Compton, near Slauson. And the Jacksons were there. Now you got to understand, way back then, they had just made their first appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show about 4 months before they showed up in the parking lot, making a celebrity stop, meeting the people at the Big Giant Supermarket. Please, if you remember this store, send me a message on Facebook. I'm also under BTV Black Television on Instagram and on Twitter, but right now I'm utilizing Facebook because that's where I'm in contact with my international friends. So if you remember Big Giant Supermarket, please let me know. So here I was, holding the hands of my sisters like this, waiting to see this incredible family group called the Jackson Five. It was just exciting, that's what I remember. It was a little bit scary whenever my sisters let go of my hand. It was cool, I was still excited, but it was a little bit scary. And the Jacksons pulled up, the Jackson Five, in the back of an 18-wheeler. They was cool, man. I'm trying to tell you, they was really cool, especially Jackie. Now, what happened was, and I can remember this distinctly, when the truck arrived, everybody gathered around, and people were excited, but fairly quiet, just waiting. And when they let the door up, Jackie was the first one to step out, smiling and waving. And as the crowd started to scream and cheer, which is what they do when they see somebody that had a hit song that they're enjoying. A few of the other members of the Jackson 5 got scared. So I want to touch on fame, fear, and fame, courage. Okay. So that was my first vivid memory of the power of being a celebrity that does something that people really like and enjoy. See, there's a difference between just being a celebrity or being infamous and doing something that resonates with people. You know, they feel good about it. So now I'm skip ahead to the good L.A.P.D. Now this is what happened. To their credit, unsung credit, because I haven't heard nobody talk about the good L.A.P.D. in the hood. And some of us knew that it was some of them brothers, I would say probably like 1 out of 20 that would go out of their way to help us. So it's not exactly the way it's portrayed in the movies. I believe, and this is just a belief, that every police department has a number of very good, dedicated people that do not behave from a racial point of view. But there's too many that are teaching them and training them that do think along racial lines. So now with that said, I want to talk about the good L.A.P.D. This is what happened. These gentlemen, these were all sergeants that started a professional bodyguard school. And we were the only recruitees that became security officers as well as a bodyguard. The difference was we were certified with CPR, first aid. We were trained by real sergeants and the same people that trained the recruitees at the police academy in the proper use and when to use a baton. Now, I don't know if they're not teaching that now, I have no idea, but we were taught that in this professional security school. We were taught that you only use equal force, which means if you're confronting somebody who's being belligerent, upset, pissed off, they're unarmed, don't even have a stick, the first thing that you do is try to talk to this person to de-escalate the situation. Now, I know for a fact, I try not to talk about anything that I can't prove. I know for a fact, every day, there's a handful of police officers that care, they do their job, but they really are trying to protect and serve everybody, not just the white community. I'm being very real. Because they understand that their job is first and foremost to serve and protect. These handful of individuals, probably on an everyday basis, but definitely every week, de-escalate a problem by talking, listening, showing some force when needed, not being a-holes. I didn't call no names, I didn't say no departments, but these good officers should be the people to train the other officers. That's all I'm gonna say about that. That's my opinion. So a group of these good officers that were very familiar with Rampart, Hollywood, Watts, and South Central, because those were the hot spots at the time. At that time, Linwood was still predominantly Caucasian, and there was a faction. This is the truth. You can look it up. There was a faction of racist residents that helped redline so black people couldn't move to Linwood back then. Now this is all my research because I was like really small, but I did a lot of research on where I'm from. So the good officers would really try to help everybody. And I've met some of recent for real. Okay. So that might go without saying, but if I'm gonna tell the truth, let me tell the truth both ways. A group of officers started a school on Wilshire Boulevard called the Ralston Security and Bodyguard School. All right. Let me tell you why they did this. They saw a prediction, really. They saw people with money being involved in the rap and music industry, being used really, for real. Recruiting people that didn't or were never taught a work ethic to not abuse. That's the bottom line. They saw this way before stuff got crazy in the rap industry. And they saw these problems. They were able to predict it because these were sergeants and they were experienced. They saw how organized crime was able to grow and how the incidents de-escalated when, let's call them unsavory people, learned that it was bad business to commit crimes, especially crimes that hurt, harm, or unlife people. There's consequences. It's called the law of karma. So they were experienced with this. They were trying to nip it in the bud, and they did reduce it because it would have been far much worse than it ended up. So they trained us how to be security guards and bodyguards. Now, back then, being a bodyguard wasn't thought of as being an industry where, it's a lot, but it being Los Angeles, the entertainment capital of the world, a lot of celebrities had bodyguards and security. It's a slight difference. So they saw this new genre exploding with money. We didn't find out about it, the black people, but the other folk, they knew this was the money. They saw jazz become a global sensation started by black people. They saw the blues become a global phenomenon all over the world. People wanted to hear the blues. So now, in the trail of soul music comes hip hop and rap. And this appears to be probably the fastest and biggest successful genre of music ever, because MTV, that vowed when they first started, vowed to not have anybody black on MTV because they wanted to control and monopolize this new medium called the music video that was made popular. Here's a tidbit to look up by the Sonny and Cher show. Okay. So what these good L.A.P.D officers did, they started a professional business college. They had all the experience. They had the batons. They had the handcuffs. They had the training. They had the guard dogs. I mean, they had it. They knew that a professional group, predominantly African American and Hispanic, that was trained the right way, trained about serving and protecting, trained that crime doesn't pay, and not all cops are on the take. See, they taught us that. So we became the first elite security guards. My first celebrity. Okay, this makes me emotional because this woman was so incredible. My first job was being the bodyguard for Esther Rolle from Good Times. This woman taught me so much. At the time, she lived in Woodland Hills. And I was like so honored that she was sensitive. Whenever she made a public appearance, she worried about hired for event security. That's a term meaning when you're, you don't have a bodyguard all the time, but when you're going to do a personal appearance, autograph signing, or something like that out in the public, you'll hire somebody just for that event. She wanted to make sure that whoever was going to be her bodyguard was not going to be racist, was not going to be a black arrogant person who actually thinks they're better than other people. These are her words. She was very outspoken about doing the right thing. And she chose me after 3 interviews. No, it was 2 interviews. And one time where she just looked at me and nodded. Okay, all right. So it was 2 interviews and 3 meetings. And I was hired. I was on call to be her bodyguard and security for public appearances because she knew I had the right idea about how important people are. So I'm very proud of that. It's part of my background. So that being the first celebrity, I learned how to be a good bodyguard and how to do security. Now, when Janet Jackson put out her first album, and I believe the title was Young Love, by recommendation of Esther Rolle to Joe Jackson, she recommended me. And the term was that she named me, Esther Rolle named me a bodyguard who was a community advocate. I'm sorry. That was the first time I'd ever heard that term. And I can remember the most special time when I actually got a chance to have a conversation with Janet Jackson was at USC. and she was signing autographs. And man, she was like really wonderful. It's like at a young age, she she cared. She wanted everybody to get an autograph. Just like she really cared. And this was after well, okay, I don't want to date it. But anyway, I learned first how to be a good person, how to be professional, how to care about the public because the money comes from the public. So don't treat the public bad. You know, people that have made so much money, it came from the people. That's a part of the reason why I'm doing this. Because at this time, some people is being exposed that apparently didn't learn from the right people to appreciate other people. They feel like, you know, they made these millions because they just deserve it. You know, people paid for a product and they are important. Fan clubs used to be very important to certain people. Definitely the Jacksons. All right? That's appreciation. So at the Ralston School of Bodyguards and Security Officers, we learned that the public is due respect. That's why I really admire individuals. I'm only going to name a few, like Britney Spears, like Taylor Swift, definitely like Janet Jackson, like Toni Braxton, Aretha Franklin, The Temptations. They work tirelessly to give the best performance they can give. Oh, of course, like Michael Jackson, but everybody knows that. As opposed to somebody like Milli Vanilli. I'm just saying, okay? So I learned that the people are important. And everybody that went to the Ralston School, all right? These L.A.P.D sergeants knew this. Even though it's a lot of people that's greedy, that's mean, that's bullies, and they get money and then they become abusers, they knew if there was an alternative security that knew how to be security better than the people who weren't trained, that knew how to be better bodyguards to de-escalate a problem before it gets out of hand. They knew this. Okay? Those of us that graduated knew this. My best friend, and in my heart, she's still my best friend. And I don't think she knows it because I had lost a friend and I just wasn't the warm person that I normally am, is Renonda Hudson. Love you. You are in my heart the best friend. And let me just say this. I could name many occasions where she was there, where she had more heart than some of the brothers doing security. One time we was at the Slauson swap meet, and somebody was getting hyphy. You know, we had been trained. You know, our main job is to observe and report, and everything is insured. I'm just saying what we were taught. Reality. Somebody, the guy might have been on drugs. It was two of them, but one of them had a gun. I don't know if the other one did. And everything happened so fast. They started shooting in the parking lot. Now, we didn't know why or who it was for, but, you know, security was expected to handle it. So I'm just thinking, okay, if we can just stop somebody from getting shot or killed, okay, we will have done our job above the call of duty. Renanda Hudson, Ernie Hudson's niece, the gentleman from Ghostbusters. I mean, he's done so much since then. The Hand that Rocks the Cradle, Forgive Me, and man, he's on a series. Anyway, his niece was the only person backing me up. I was around a corner where I could see the perpetrators, one with a gun, and she was to the side. When they started focusing on me, the individuals, the perpetrators in the parking lot, she came out. It's almost like she drew their fire, or no, she definitely drew their attention, but she could have been drawing their fire. Anyway, she was a graduate from the Ralston School. We knew how to protect people and protect the public. So, all right. So that's what I wanted to say about the Ralston School, because this is where I first learned my work ethic and how to be proud to protect somebody who's been gifted and works hard to give a great performance, not somebody to become abusive, okay, or make women who are fans walk around on their hands and knees with a dog leash. R. Kelly. Yeah, I know. Okay? Or request a woman who's willing to please you, and you request that she sharpen her fingernails to a point. I mean, a real point, not just like a triangle, but a real point. And insert her finger someplace so you could experience some pain. I guess that's that guilty conscience. So that's the little tidbit that I'm throw out, because I'm not going to talk about too much stuff. One thing I want you to understand, we bodyguards, we take an oath among ourselves to help protect those that we're protecting and not expose them. But here's the deal. When you become so abusive that you're committing crimes, you are the enemy. At the Ralston School, we were taught to both protect the star and the public. That's why de-escalation is so important. Okay? We're supposed to protect everybody. We have to use our heads. So now I gave y'all that little bit of what I don't know what they call it these days, inside information. Okay? So as always, I'll let you know I'm trying to come in under 30 minutes and look forward to part 3 of my background. This is and has been the DJ Slam Show. It's a pleasure talking to you. May God bless you. And remember, peace and love is the way.